What is up everyone and welcome to my PA system rebuild. This is part number 4. Now quite some time has passed and it's only now that I've received this DBX crossover. As you guys know, this was the original crossover that was meant to go in the rack. I didn't receive it, so I received that tannoy one instead. There was a story behind that tannoy one. And now I've got this one. And it's been sitting here for a couple of days over the weekend. I have had it through the post. And I lost a bit of money on this. We had some delivery issues. The eBay seller was a very nice guy, but he wasn't the best when it came to eBay selling, I guess you could say. And there is quite a lot of evidence of that with this crossover already. But this is part 4. We're going to unbox a crossover, take a little look at it. I'm not going to slot it into the rack because I'm happy with the tannoy, but we'll speak more about that later. And also I'm going to sit in front of the camera just to sort of maybe conclude the series. There may be a part 5 straggling in about a month or so, but you know, possible kind of semi-conclusion if that makes sense. So part 3 wasn't very popular, but I hope you guys that are enjoying the audio videos enjoy this video. We'll dig into this box and also have a chat about the system as a whole. So before we talk about the system, let's talk about this crossover. As you guys can see, it comes in its original box, but unfortunately it wasn't wrapped in a box, another box around this box. So he stuck the label on this box and pretty much this box has now been battered up. It's quite annoying because the box was in good condition in the photos and now it's not, and it's basically hanging on by a thread and covered in labels and stuff. It could be a lot worse, but I'm very shocked that he sent it like this. He also taped it all up with sellotape. It's quite nasty, really. But we're going to dig into it and see if the crossover's in one piece. Now, I'm not actually going to test this unit in this video. I'm going to do that more on my own because that's going to be very boring and tedious, because I'll have to disassemble some of my rack, and I'm not going to do it for quite a while because I actually can't be bothered, guys, you know, to go fiddling around. But let's dig in, see what we've got. And oh, he's actually taped up the sides as well, no problem. Now when this came through the door, it was painful to see that he'd done this, guys. Really, really painful. Just because it was a bonus that it came in its original box. But now, obviously that bonus has now gone a little bit. Okay, so here we are. In the box, as you can see, it's wrapped up nicely. Now, he said that this unit wasn't really used that much. It was only a spare unit, so that's pretty cool. If we take a look, we have a kettle lead. It's European, absolutely wonderful. Thank you very much. And we have the polystyrene, which looks a little broken. Here's the crossover unit itself. Yeah, that is very broken, but it doesn't matter. All original packaging, which is cool. And we've got the manual down here. Now let's take it out and we'll take a look at the unit. And we'll get the box out of the way. DBX crossover, simple little unit. Now, one thing I noticed straight away is it's weightier than I was expecting. This is actually a substantial weight. Now, it's all metal. The DBX stuff is very good quality. It's a nice unit, 1U 19-inch. It's not too deep, as you can see. It's probably about as deep as the tannoy unit. But one cool thing about the tannoy is it's kind of just a centerpiece in the rack, so you have this amount of space for cables and stuff at the back as well, so that's pretty cool. This one, different to my tannoy one that I'm using at the moment, is actually stereo both ways, so you get a stereo out for the subs as well, as you can see. Channel A and Channel B, or Channel 1 and 2, sorry, high and low output, of course. We got some settings on the back, and then of course all of your settings on the front. Now this is much better than the tannoy in terms of control, but the question is, guys, depending on your setup, how much control do you actually need from your crossover if it's just a bare basic crossover? Now I've used my system 3 times since I built it, 4 times if you include kind of half using it, just using one of the amplifiers, but I've used my system 3 times and it just runs flawlessly. Absolutely awesome. Now granted, only one of those times I've been using the full setup with the 2 bins and the 2 tops, and it was great, really great. I did not need any of these settings. So that's just added luxury, really. Now it is handy being able to set your input and output, and also, you know, change your, you know, crossover point and everything, but I guess it's a little bit more to go wrong. The bottom line is, guys, I will kind of assess the situation more when I get the energy to test this out. But I've been using the tannoy, and if you guys aren't sure about the tannoy, go and check it out in my videos. I've been using it, and it's a really nice bit of kit. It also sounds really good. The whole system sounds so good. I'm very, very pleased with the setup. And I just don't want to go interfering, really. And of course, this is quite a bit heavier. I wasn't expecting it to be this heavy, so that could impact the overall weight of the rack, which would not be very good, because even though I'm using Class D amps, the IMNC amps, and the amp rack itself is quite light, it's still heavy. You know, it's a very comfortable lift for 2 people, and it's quite a heavy lift for 1 person. Obviously, if I had, you know, big old chunky amplifiers in there, like, you know, a couple of QSC RMX amps or something, you know, I wouldn't lift it very easily on my own at all. But I do want to keep the weight down, and I know for a fact that the tannoy is lighter than this. So in terms of looking at hardware, that's pretty much it for this video. I'm actually going to box this guy back up, and you may see it appear on eBay very soon after I test it out, because the bottom line is, guys, I don't need 2 crossovers, and I waited a very long time for it to get here, but there have been problems along the way. I'm not sure. I may keep it, I may not. As you guys know, at the moment, I'm all about clearing out and slimming down my stuff, and, you know, who needs 2 crossovers? However, I might be able to sell it locally. Someone might want it locally. It's a nice bit of kit. If you do actually want a 2-way crossover for your PA system, just very simple but nice quality, you know, this will be much nicer sounding, much less noise in the signal path than something like a Behringer probably, or even less noisy than those, you know, digital options from DBX, like the PA Drive Rack Pro or whatever it's called, rather. This is a nice little option, analog crossover, basic settings, very nice. So that is that, folks. We will leave the crossover there, and what I'll do, I'll flip around the camera angle and just speak to you guys about the PA system just for a little bit, because I'm sure you guys are all very eager to know how it's been performing after I put the new amp rack together. So I spent some money on this project. The bins are a fairly recent purchase of mine, and the amp rack, as you know, I got great deals on everything, but it still all adds up. Now, PA work is not my main work. If anything, it's right at the bottom of the totem pole in terms of income. So it's always weird dumping a lot of money into a project like that. Now, you guys might be watching this video, you know, you might be in a band, or you might have come from a background where you do loads of PA work all the time, so, you know, this would be a cool little video for you guys, and if you did something similar, then it would really pay for itself, because it's a very good sounding system for the price. But at the moment, I'm just waiting, and I'm waiting for more gigs to roll in so that it justifies spending the money that I spent on the system. Now, could I have got something better for the money that I spent? That depends on how you look at it. It's basically, I spent a lot of money on luxuries that makes my life easier but doesn't affect the sound. This includes things like a patch panel, the certain type of cabling that I decided to use, the rack, and even the crossover. You could have pretty much the same PA setup without all of that stuff, but I was rack mounting a nice system where I knew I could plop it down, take off the lids, plug in 1 power con, plug in my 2 inputs and my 4 outputs, and everything would be done for me. You know, gone are the days of having, you know, boxes full of these random cables and they're all knotted up and you're looking through them and you're trying to plug everything in and patch everything in differently at every single gig. I wanted something easy, and it has been really easy. Now, unfortunately, a couple of times I have actually undone the back of the panel because I needed to change the wiring slightly in my rack, because I've actually been using this amp rack to run monitors as well. When I've been using another rig that I have access to, which is a very nice front of house rig, I was using my rack a couple of times as an amp rack for monitors, and of course with the crossover and everything, if I wanted to utilize all 4 channels of the amps, I couldn't do that with the tannoy crossover because there was no way of turning the crossover off and just using it as a total bypass or a splitter, and there's not really a way to do that with the QSC, the DBX either, not to get full frequency into all 4 channels anyway. So I'm gonna have to do a little bit of jiggery pokery and see if there's something I can do with wiring at the back, maybe where I can flick 1 switch and it goes to the crossover, flick a switch and it goes straight into the amplifiers. I don't know, I'm gonna have to look into XLR splitting and stuff, which is also quite stressful, but it's a I want it to be a multi-purpose rack, mainly tailored to my front of house PA system, but if, you know, time goes on and I'm just using them as amplifiers, then that may not need to be done. It may need to be done, but it may not need to be done because, you know, that situation may not even come up again. So it's all these ifs and buts that I'm weighing up at the moment, but if you guys are really interested in the sound, I can tell you right now that that amp rack, for the weight and for the price, really does pack a punch. How well is it going to survive, you know, for the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years? I have no idea. The IMNC amplifiers are still fairly new, so people don't really know how they're lasting after, you know, several years of heavy use. And also, maybe not heavy use, but on the road use, you know, maybe getting banged about a bit, even though they're in a case, you know, getting thrown in the back of the van and sliding about a bit or whatever, you know. It's all, you know, it's pro audio stuff. It's got to be strong. And, you know, it's Behringer stuff, so it's not like up here in price, you know. But I'm very impressed with the IMNCs. I did one gig, which was just a playback gig, like a disco gig. So I wasn't running a band through the system or whatever. And do you know what, guys? I was so far away from clipping. The music was so loud. And the amps ran stone cold all night. The bins were absolutely thudding. They were really, really walloping. There was some tremendous bass coming out of that system. The tops were nice. Now, I do have this thing with my tops. I would like to replace them for a few reasons that we may discuss in another video. But yeah, the bins were walloping. The tops were sounding pretty good for what they are. And it generally was a really nice system. Now, I can't wait until I get the opportunity to whip out my desk, sit there in a nice sounding room and mix a full, you know, sort of rock, your standard band, you know, drum kit, bass guitar, a couple of lead guitars, a few vocals, maybe keyboards or whatever. Just mix a nice band, normal, good musicians with this system to see how it sounds. But in terms of my life at the moment, I don't know if that opportunity is going to come up anytime soon. So I've built the system. I'm very pleased with building it. Glad I did it, and I've put it to good use already. It has not paid for itself yet. It really has not. It may do by the end of this year, but you know, the world is my oyster. I don't have to keep the system. At the moment, it's looking kind of good, but I'm even struggling for a place to store my amp rack, believe it or not, guys, because everything's up in the air. But the main thing is, I love owning a PA system. It's great. Someone rings me up, Tom, I need a PA. Yeah, that's great. And you know, I'll give it to people, I'll lend it to people, you know, try and make a bit of money on it. But around here, in terms of that kind of work, I'm here to help people out as well and gain experience. So, you know, if I can rent this stuff out for cheap and that, and it gets used, then that's cool with me as well. So in terms of these videos then, they definitely haven't been my most popular videos, but I wanted to get these out there for the audio people because I know I've got some audio subscribers out there, and I was doing this big project and I thought, you know, why not? I really wanted to push it out, and this is part 4, which hasn't been very informative, but I thought it would be good to talk about how the PA has performed throughout, you know, January and February, and well, February really, and also the arrival of the new crossover. The crossover is a bit of a stressful situation. I probably hopefully won't lose money on that, because either way I end up selling a crossover, so I haven't really lost anything. But of course, that for now is pretty much it in terms of my PA system. It's put together, it's built, and it probably won't justify another video until I do a couple of gigs and hopefully get some footage of them. And then I can sit down again with the footage and talk to you guys about how the system has performed properly, you know, with some proper examples and everything, and hopefully you can hear the shaking low end in the camera. But yeah. Very pleased. I'm storing the speakers in my girlfriend's house at the moment, which is not ideal. You know, I don't want to lumber them down there with those speakers, and I can't have them here. So that is another thing at the moment. Quite stressed because the system isn't going out very much, and it's taking up space. But those are all sort of life stresses for me, and they're not a direct consequence of, you know, my choice of putting the system together. It's a great build. I urge you to watch through part 1 and 2 if you never made it through. I do a lot of rambling, but there's some golden gems in there as well. But for this video, guys, that's pretty much it. I hope you've enjoyed it. I know it's been short, I know it's been random, but I just wanted to give you a PA system update. You deserve it. And hopefully I can bring more of a variety of things like this to you guys in the future. I know a lot of people are interested in my lighting and sound work, and this has mainly been me sitting in my bedroom ranting about amplifiers constantly. But hopefully I'll be able to take you guys into a venue very soon and show you a little bit of what I do. This year, it's all a bit up in the air for me, to say the least. So I'm not sure what's going down there really, if I'll have much of an opportunity to show you guys. But rest assured, you know, it's one of my big interests. So course, I like to share everything on this channel. So, huge thank you for watching. Please, if you're an audio guy and you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. It really helps. The fact that the other video didn't have a very good response kind of dipped my stats a little bit. But, you know, I just hope that people really do appreciate that I'm trying to give as many people out there cool and different knowledge about these types of things. And I'm trying to do it in a fun and entertaining way as well, even if I do ramble on. So, thumbs up if you enjoyed, thumbs down if you didn't. Please leave me a comment. I am very likely to reply, and if I don't, then feel free to shout at me through my emails or whatever. And of course, as always, I will see you in tomorrow's video.